Sometimes life puts you in situations that seem straight out of a thriller movie. That's exactly what happened when Ashley and I bought our first house. A charming property, with a spacious lot and mountain views. The perfect place to work remotely and live out our dreams of a more sustainable life. But what was supposed to be the beginning of a new phase turned into a nightmare when we found out who our neighbors were in the luxury condo next door. Gregory and Rachel, the couple running the homeowners association, turned our life into a battleground. It all started with small, almost unnoticeable incidents, but it quickly escalated into something much bigger. What they didn't know was that by trying to intimidate us, they would end up sparking a war that would forever change the fate of the entire neighborhood. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like to get access to more stories like this. The day we signed the house papers was a moment of pure happiness. Ashley and I had saved for 3 years, living in a tiny apartment while working on our startups. When we finally found this property, we knew it was special. A 2-story house with a lot of almost half a hectare, bordering Oak Hills, a well-known luxury condo in the area. Our first week was calm. We set up our home offices, one on each end of the house so we wouldn't interfere with each other's video calls. Ashley started planning an organic garden in the backyard, while I dreamed of an outdoor space to code on sunny days. On Saturday, we were having coffee on the porch when a couple approached us. Gregory and Rachel introduced themselves as representatives of Oak Hills. He, in his impeccable suit even though it was the weekend, and she, all dressed up as if she were about to shoot a video for her lifestyle channel at any moment. The conversation started off friendly. They welcomed us to the neighborhood and talked about how the area was increasing in value. But something about the way Gregory looked at our lot bothered me. Rachel couldn't stop commenting on how our property could fit in better with the condo's standards. Before leaving, Gregory casually mentioned that Oak Hills was planning to expand its leisure area. "You guys should consider selling us part of your lot," he suggested, with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. It'd be a great deal for everyone. Little did we know that that seemingly innocent conversation would be the start of our ordeal. The first few weeks passed normally until I started noticing small changes. Gardening equipment began to appear mysteriously near our fence, and Oak Hills staff accidentally mowed the grass a few meters inside our lot. On our security cameras, we caught Rachel taking pictures of our property at different times. Things got worse when we started our garden. Ashley had spent months researching organic farming, and we had finally begun to prepare the soil. On the same day, we received a notice from the condo claiming our project violated local regulations. The document cited codes that didn't even apply to our property since we weren't part of the HOA. One afternoon, while I was coding in the garden, Margaret, our 72-year-old neighbor, came by with a worried look. A former teacher who had lived in the area for decades, she told me that Gregory had a history of expanding the condo through shady tactics. Apparently, we weren't the first ones to face this kind of harassment. During a work video call, I noticed some suspicious activity at the property line. A survey team hired by Oak Hills was taking measurements, clearly crossing over our boundary. When I confronted Gregory, he said they were just routine evaluations, but his forced smile revealed other intentions. Nathan, a nearby university professor, reached out to share his own experience. He had resisted similar attempts by Gregory in the past and warned us about possible strategies we might face. "They're gonna try to make it look like you're the problem," he explained. "I've seen it happen before." The last straw was when Rachel posted a video on her lifestyle channel, subtly criticizing properties that ruined the visual harmony of the neighborhood. The camera was strategically set so that our house was in the background as she talked about the importance of keeping the community standards. The video went viral in local neighborhood groups, sparking a wave of negative comments about our property. I realized we had to act. It wasn't just about defending our land. It was about stopping Gregory and Rachel from continuing to manipulate and intimidate the people around them. I decided to dig deeper into Oak Hill's history and its head. During my late-night research, I discovered a troubling pattern of questionable territorial expansions over the past 5 years, all under Gregory's watch. Public records showed that 3 neighboring properties had been partially absorbed into the condo under suspicious circumstances. Ashley, using her digital design skills, created a detailed map showing how the condo's boundaries had changed over the years. The pattern was clear. Gregory systematically pressured independent homeowners until he could annex parts of their land. Each expansion was justified as necessary improvements for the community. One Saturday morning, Michael, a lawyer and a member of the HOA board, discreetly approached us. He had noticed irregularities in the condo's recent financial statements and was concerned about Gregory's management. The funds earmarked for community expansions lacked proper documentation, and some contracts seemed grossly overcharged. While we were talking with Michael in our kitchen, we noticed suspicious activity on our security cameras. Condo employees were installing a temporary fence that was almost 2 meters into our property. When we confronted the crew, they showed us a work order signed by Gregory, claiming that the area belonged to Oak Hills. I immediately called Officer Thompson, who was already familiar with the situation due to previous complaints. As we waited for him to arrive, Rachel showed up with her phone in hand, recording the entire confrontation. "You guys are stopping essential improvements for the community," she declared, her voice perfectly modulated for social media. "Our followers need to know how some elements can hold back the neighborhood's progress." Officer Thompson arrived, and, after checking our documents, ordered the fence removed immediately. Gregory appeared minutes later, arguing that there was an error in the old blueprints, and that the disputed area had always belonged to the condo. I then presented the original property registry documents that Michael had helped us locate. During the discussion, Nathan came over with his phone, discreetly recording everything. As a professor of urban planning, he understood the importance of documenting every move. Realizing he was being filmed, Gregory completely changed his tone, claiming it was all just a misunderstanding. That night, Rachel posted an emotional video on her social media, portraying herself as a victim of hostile young people who refused to cooperate with the community. Her narrative quickly gained support from other condo residents who didn't know the full history of the situation. Michael reached out to us again, this time with more concrete information. He had found emails suggesting that Gregory was using his position in the HOA for personal gain, negotiating side deals with construction companies, and overcharging on expansion projects. It was the evidence we needed to start turning the tables. We realized that defending ourselves wasn't enough. We had to expose Gregory and Rachel's entire scheme. With help from Michael, Nathan, and Margaret, we began to sketch out a plan to reveal the truth to the community and stop others from being harmed by their manipulations. Armed with the evidence, we decided to act strategically. Ashley used her UX skills to create a detailed digital presentation, compiling all the documents, photos, and videos proving Gregory's irregular actions. Michael helped organize the information in a legally solid way, making sure every accusation was backed with concrete evidence. Margaret revealed that she had kept a detailed diary for the past 5 years, documenting every suspicious incident in the neighborhood. Her meticulous notes provided a complete picture of the intimidation tactics used by the HOA management. We discovered she wasn't the only one. Other neighbors also had their own stories to tell. One afternoon, as we were finalizing our strategy, we caught Rachel doing a live stream from inside our property. She had jumped over the fence to record a video criticizing our lack of landscape maintenance. This time, besides calling the police, we also contacted our lawyer to file a formal complaint for trespassing. Officer Thompson, when he arrived, clearly looked irritated by the frequency of the incidents. Rachel tried to turn the situation into a show for her followers, but the officer ended her broadcast and warned her about the legal consequences of trespassing. Gregory showed up minutes later, trying to downplay the incident, but this time his influence didn't work. Nathan, using his contacts at the university, helped us discover that Gregory's scheme went beyond our neighborhood. He had been involved in similar operations at other condos, always using his authority to pressure independent homeowners. With that information, Michael was able to connect the dots between different cases of improper land annexation. The final straw came when we found out Gregory was planning an extraordinary meeting to approve a massive expansion of the condo that would affect not only our property, but also those of other independent owners. The project, presented as a community revitalization, included the construction of a leisure area that would significantly encroach on our land. Ashley managed to access the budgets presented for the project and identified several inconsistencies. The companies quoted for the work had direct ties with Gregory's old business partners, and the amounts were way above market rates. It was the overcharging scheme Michael had suspected from the start. We organized a secret meeting with other affected homeowners at our house. Margaret brought her records, Nathan presented his urban analysis, and Michael explained the legal implications of every violation we had documented. Together, we developed a plan to expose everything during the extraordinary meeting. Unaware of our mobilization, Rachel continued her digital campaign against us. Her videos now included experts who defended the need for aesthetic standardization in the neighborhood. But every post she made only strengthened our case, documenting her systematic harassment. On the eve of the meeting, we received crucial information from a former condo employee. He had records of meetings where Gregory explicitly planned to force the sale of properties through coordinated harassment. It was the final piece we needed for our dossier. Now, with all the evidence gathered and a support network in place, we were ready for the final showdown. The extraordinary meeting would be the stage where the whole truth would come out. The extraordinary meeting began with Gregory presenting his grand expansion project. The condo auditorium was packed, with Rachel strategically positioned to record everything for her channel. We let him finish his elaborate presentation, full of impressive graphs and promises of real estate value increases. When the floor opened for questions, Michael was the first to speak up. With legal precision, he started questioning every dubious aspect of the project. Gregory tried to interrupt him several times, but other board members intervened, demanding that Michael be heard. Rachel discreetly turned off her camera. Ashley projected our presentation, revealing a chronological map of the previous expansions. Every case of harassment and improper annexation was detailed, with recorded testimonies from previous victims. Margaret stood up and shared her notes, her firm voice resonating throughout the auditorium as she described years of systematic intimidation. A former condo employee in the audience confirmed the authenticity of documents showing secret meetings where Gregory planned his pressure tactics. Nathan presented his technical analysis, demonstrating how each expansion had violated the city's urban planning codes. Gregory tried to discredit our evidence, but his usual arrogance gave way to visible nervousness when we projected the emails proving the overcharging scheme. Rachel, noticing the gravity of the situation, tried to create a diversion by accusing us of harassment, but her performance was cut short by other residents who began sharing their own stories of intimidation. The decisive moment came when Michael presented a forensic analysis of the condo's accounts, revealing a pattern of financial misappropriations in all previous expansion projects. Several board members, visibly shocked, started questioning decisions that had been approved based on manipulated information. The meeting, which was supposed to last 2 hours, went on for over 4. Gregory and Rachel left the auditorium before it ended, not without threatening defamation lawsuits. But it was too late. The truth was out and documented, with dozens of witnesses present. An emergency vote ousted Gregory from the HOA presidency, and a special commission was formed to investigate all the irregularities. Michael was chosen to lead the transition, with the support of other independent owners who finally felt safe to speak up. In the following days, Rachel tried to control the damage on her social media, but her followers started questioning the truth of her previous posts. A local news channel did a segment on the case, focusing on the importance of community mobilization against abuse of power. The police opened a formal investigation into Gregory's financial activities, and other condos where he had worked began their own audits. The city's urban planning office started a review of all the projects approved during his management. Our victory wasn't just personal. We set an important precedent for the whole community. The new HOA board, more diverse and transparent, implemented clear rules to protect both the condo residents and the independent property owners in the area. Finally, Ashley and I could resume our original projects for the property. Our organic garden started to flourish, and other neighbors became interested in starting similar projects. The nightmare was over, but its lessons on unity, perseverance, and justice would last forever. 1 year passed since that historic meeting. Our property turned out exactly as we dreamed. Ashley's garden now produces more vegetables than we can eat, and my outdoor workspace has become a creative retreat where I code my best projects. But the most significant changes happened beyond our property. Oak Hills underwent a deep transformation. The new board, led by Michael, implemented a transparent management system, with all major decisions being broadcast live for the residents. Margaret was invited to create an ethics committee, ensuring that the abusive practices of the past would never happen again. Gregory faced serious consequences for his actions. The police investigation uncovered a scheme much bigger than we had imagined, involving bribes and forged documents in several projects. He's awaiting trial while out on bail, but his reputation in the real estate market is irreparably damaged. Rachel tried to spin her downfall into a story of unfair cancellation, but her most dedicated followers began questioning her old content after uncovering the manipulations. Her channel lost relevance, and she ended up moving to another state, where she's trying to rebuild her digital presence with a different focus. The case brought about positive changes beyond our community. The city established new guidelines for condo management, including protection mechanisms for independent property owners. Other neighborhoods reached out to us to understand how we built our support network and documented the irregularities. Nathan used our experience as a case study in his urban planning classes, emphasizing the importance of community engagement in protecting individual rights. His students developed projects focused on ethical and sustainable urban growth, some of which were presented to the city council. The former employee who helped us with crucial information started his own condo management consultancy, specializing in transparent governance and conflict mediation. His firm now serves several condos in the region, implementing practices that prevent abuse of power. Ashley and I were invited to share our story in a documentary about real estate speculation and community resistance. The film, produced by a local independent company, is being shown at festivals and sparking important discussions about urban development and property rights. Our relationship with the Oak Hills residents improved significantly. The old invisible barriers between the condo and the independent properties were replaced by true community integration. We organized monthly organic product fairs, where the vegetables from our garden were always in high demand. Margaret continues keeping her meticulous records, but now she documents the positive transformations in the neighborhood. Her diary, once a record of abuses, has become a testament to how a community can heal and evolve when courageous people unite against injustice. Recently, during breakfast on the porch, right where Gregory and Rachel first approached us, Ashley and I reflected on how that attempt at intimidation ended up strengthening not just us, but the entire community. Our house, which they tried to diminish, became a symbol of resistance and renewal. Oak Hills keeps growing, but now in an organic and ethical way, through transparent negotiations and mutual respect. Our story proved that true progress doesn't come from imposition and intimidation, but from collaboration and respecting each individual's rights. Today, 3 years after those turbulent events, our property has become a positive landmark in the community. The garden that Rachel used to criticize is now featured in sustainable landscaping magazines, and our organic garden inspired a community project that provides fresh food to families in need in the area. Michael continues leading the HOA with exemplary transparency. Under his management, Oak Hills became a model for condo governance, frequently visited by administrators from other condos interested in implementing similar practices. The case is even studied in real estate management courses as an example of institutional transformation. We learned through mutual contacts that Gregory pleaded guilty in some cases and reached a deal with the prosecution. Part of the deal included the return of misappropriated funds, which were directed towards genuine community improvement projects. Rachel, on the other hand, reinvented her channel focusing on sustainability and community life, a transformation that, although ironic, was very welcome. Margaret, now 75, published a memorial book about the neighborhood's history, including the events we went through. The book became required reading for new residents, serving as a reminder of the importance of community vigilance and peaceful resistance against abuses of power. Nathan expanded his academic project by creating an observatory for condo practices that monitors and documents similar cases throughout the region. His work has helped other communities identify and combat attempts at irregular land annexation. Ashley and I often reflect on how that attempt to intimidate us ended up triggering such significant changes. Our decision to resist, backed by courageous neighbors, not only preserved our property, but catalyzed a profound community transformation. The wall that Gregory planned to build never came to be. Instead, we have a living fence of native plants, symbolizing the new relationship between the condo and the independent properties, a natural border that unites rather than divides. It's a daily reminder that the best communities are built on foundations of mutual respect and collaboration. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like to get access to more stories like this. The impact of our story continues to reverberate in unexpected ways. Last month, a streaming producer contacted us, interested in turning our experience into a documentary series. After a lot of discussion, we agreed to participate on the condition that the focus be on the positive lessons and the importance of community unity. Margaret, now a beloved figure in the neighborhood, runs a mentorship program where experienced residents help new owners understand their rights and responsibilities. Her work has been crucial in keeping the memory of past events alive, not as trauma, but as a lesson. The community garden we started has expanded to include an educational area where local schools bring students to learn about sustainable urban agriculture. Ashley developed a special curriculum focused on organic practices and environmental responsibility, which is now being adopted by other communities. Michael implemented a participatory governance system that has become a national benchmark. Representatives from neighborhood associations all over the country visit Oak Hills to learn how to balance collective interests with individual rights. The model we developed is being replicated in various condos. Nathan received an academic award for his work in participatory urban planning, using our experience as a basis to develop ethical urban expansion guidelines. His observatory now monitors condo practices in 3 states, helping prevent situations of abuse. In a surprising twist, Rachel recently reached out to apologize. Her new channel, focused on community awareness, has been helping others identify and fight abusive practices in their own neighborhoods. Her transformation, although late, shows that positive change is always possible. The property that Gregory and Rachel once wanted to standardize has become a living example of how individuality and community can coexist harmoniously. Our house, with its unique design and lush garden, is now a meeting point for community events and sustainability workshops. Looking back, we realize that the initial conflict, although painful, was the necessary catalyst for a transformation far greater than we could have imagined. Our resistance not only preserved our individual freedom, but helped create a stronger, fairer, and more aware community. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like to get access to more stories like this.